In the year of retirement, a good sister who played suddenly told me that she wanted to divorce. I persuaded her, so many years have passed, and it's time to enjoy Qingfu, why bother? She shook her head, he did not pass by when he was young. Nowadays, children are all home, I really don't want to bear it. After receiving a call from Aunt Mei Shui, I put down the job in my hand and rushed to Li Yuelan's house. As soon as her son saw me, it was like seeing the savior. Aunt Mei Shui, you and my mother are the best, you talk to my mother, get a age, what divorce? Before entering the room hearing the roar of Li Yuelan's husband, I think you are menopause. I said a few words, you want to divorce me, it is unreasonable. I frowned and hurried forward to advise, Lao Zhao, good, what do you say? Li Yuelan said, he has been like this for so many years. I said him, and he suddenly dropped his chopsticks and divorced me. It's such an old age, don't let it go. Since retiring, it has a great temper, and this will not be allowed. What are you saying, what is it? Do you have to ask you to meet you in the future? I turned around and asked Yuelan what was going on. Yuelan pumped his nose, I didn't say that, but I was divorced by the marriage. You look at his attitude. Qin Meishui asked, who do you say it is wrong? I said, okay, you go out first. The moment the door was closed, Yuelan's tears came out. I pumped her tissue and gave her, it's like this? Yuelan said, Mei Shui, I really don't want to live with him. I sighed, so many years have passed, and now it has been to enjoy Qingfu, it's time, why is it? She shook her head, do you remember what he did to buy a house and buy a car for his first love? Being up again when you are young, you are busy working and raising your children. I said, I have forgiven for such a long time, you have forgiven, why bother now? How can I look at this old face every day? I don't care about it. I stunned. After returning from Li Yuelan's house, I lost my soul. When Lao Zhang was young, he did not do anything to me. That year, the fuck was hospitalized. He was evaluating the critical period. In order to make him less worry, I got up early to send the children and serve the elderly. But he was just going to the hospital to explore the illness, and he went to the little nurse in the bed. After I picked up the urine for his mother, he thought he had a taste at home, couldn't sleep well, and didn't go home for a few days. Later, I learned that he said that it was a living unit in those days, but he actually went to the nurse's house. It wasn't until a year later that the nurse was pregnant, and I knew it. Lao Zhang knelt on the ground and slapped himself for forgiveness, saying that he was playing, but he did not expect that something would happen. My son had a month of entrance examination for a month. I was extremely angry, but had to suppress the anger. Later, the nurse saw Lao Zhang ignore her and wanted to run the old Zhang unit to make trouble and forced him to divorce. As a result, he fell on the road and the child was gone. He came to my house to die, and I was afraid that the child knew that it took 100,000 to him, and then calmed it. Li Yuelan asked me if I didn't care at all. How could I not care? This is a thorn that is always tied in my heart, but what can I do? After so many years, I have been an old lady. Do you want to divorce like Li Yuelan? When I get home, my son and daughter-in-law are there. Grandma is back. The daughter-in-law saw me immediately shining. Mom, I and my friends made an appointment to make nails, and Xiaobao helped me give me a drink for a while. I said, okay. I sat down and I sat down. The sun was crackling and knocking on the computer. I said, I went to Li Yuelan today. My son looked up, well? Want to go out to play together? I said, no, she wants to divorce. The son stunned and then smiled, no? Li Yuelan? Ah, that Auntie Xiao, I always buy a lollipop for me. I said, she is, your dad. I think I should always let him know for so many years. Who knows, he said, I know. I stunned, when did you know? The son said, when I first worked a few years ago, I saw my dad give her a fruit, and I saw it at a glance. When it was Aunt Xiaoku, I went up and asked her what was going on, and dad didn't hide me, and told me. Can't you give birth to him, it is really pitiful, which is so blessed, the descendants. I said, what do you say? I stunned all at once. Do you stand up all at once? When does it happen? I have no idea. Just say what dad and I say. It's not me for him. The son scratched his head. What else do your dad say to you? There is nothing, so I said that Aunt Zhuxiaka was very bitter, so sometimes he would help her, just help, and be a good thing. Do good deeds? I sneer, do good deeds? That year. I sat on the bed, my mother and son hurried over to cover my mouth. What do you see? This is all old things, isn't it? My dad is old, what do you think he can do? I think I just took care of her and pulled her down. Why are you still in mind? Why can't I be at ease? Your dad takes care of her money. Isn't my husband and wife common property? Oops, that's only a few money, he whispered. At this moment, Lao Zhang returned. Oh, this fish fishing today didn't come up, and it was sore at the waist. As soon as he entered the door, he rubbed his waist and complained, Lao Qin, why is this meal not good? What time is it? What are you sitting? The sun desperately woke him, but unfortunately he didn't see it. I ask you. What about meals? Have you asked Li Wulan to chat again? No, can you go out and play with the living at home first? When did you mobilize Zhu Shaochen? He's stunned. No, what has he mentioned? He threw his shoes aside. I ask you when you mobilized the job. He glanced at his son, and his son buried his head into the computer. Qin Meishua, Zhu Xiaoko. Can we have a head? He said impatiently, it's been so many years, it is endless. I made a mistake, damn it, am I going to die? Do I jump downstairs to redeem the crime now? Don't be entangled. I asked you when Zhu Xiaoko mobilized the job? Why are you always entangled with these? I didn't mess with you, and let me shake my face when I came back. Yes, yes. I helped Zhu Xiaoche mobilize work. Isn't this a miscarriage, not in the body, can't the night shift worth? She is responsible for how much, so I don't want to help and save her to get her. Are you entangled again? I sneered, she is entangled, or you can't bear it. Not enough to mobilize work, do you still send warmth from time to time? More worthless things, you don't look at it, isn't it okay to sell waste products? I understand why are you always entangled with these old things. I swear that I helped her move once in 6 years, and then, 6 years. I stayed. June. He defaulted at that time. That year, because I was too tired and sick, the doctor said that I was too resistant. I still remember that I stood at the bird's nest counter at the mall for a long time. I wanted to buy it, but I couldn't bear the money. It was too expensive. But after returning home, he found that there was a less passbook at home. I asked Lao Zhang, and he said that recently the unit has changed personnel. He is afraid of influencing himself and he has taken it up. In other words, you have paid it to 50,000? But for Zhu Xiaoko to charge? Oh, how long is this all over? Why are you? I picked up the cup on the table and smashed him. Why do you take my money? Are you sick? He jumped up. How long is this what happened? Don't you know if it's okay? What do you want? You. Oh. What's wrong? My parents and daughter-in-law came out of the house, and it seemed that it was just a good makeup. The son whispered to him, why didn't you have a door? It's okay, tell my mother. What are you doing? The daughter-in-law complained, do you know? I turned my head, and the whole family hid me alone? Do you still treat me as your mother? Ah. Are you afraid of you? See, I won't say it. The son's voice was getting smaller and smaller. How can I know it for so long? Are you still so angry? Divorce. I took a sip of bird's nest. Divorce. Are you sick? Lao Zhang immediately said, it's all old, you are not shameful, I am still shameful. If you are suspected of shame, do that person. Do I kneel on your knees in that ear? Qin Meishui. She pointed at my nose, I turn these old accounts every day. Don't be noisy. Don't be noisy. My son pulled one by one and separated me from Lao Zhang. Mom, go back to the bedroom first. You are all old, you are still a child like a child? Tolerance, you should have a result. Isn't the good people just in vain? The daughter-in-law said, while helping me, I said, I will talk about it with Lao Zhang later, let him pay you again, don't be angry because you look at it because of this. Look, don't you apologize for this daughter-in-law? I will divorce. I said. Since that day, Lao Zhang and I have been separated. He shouted in anger, let's go each in the future. He also left me a house, and his son couldn't rest assured that he rented him a house. Within a few days, I appeared in the living room at home. What are you doing? I frowned. His eyes stared at me, why can't I come? Mom really felt funny. Say that each one is different, is Zhangda, who is more than half of the year, and there is no credit. Think, he didn't just have no credit. When he was kneeling on the ground, he vowed that he would not contact Zhu Xiaoko anymore. You're really endless. He was not good at it, how big? Young people who are young people in the family rush to go out. Do you think you are mighty or feel brave? Just simply see things? He was so angry and covered his chest again. I took the initiative to go home to the steps, you won't let me come back this time. In the future, I may not come back. Almost, my face is given to you. My mother got up, walked to the table, and poured a cup of tea. That's right. How can the old husband and wife have any overnight revenge? What are you splashing me? I shake the water cup, this water is still not hot enough. Zhang Deki was broken. Can you say it once in your life? Since there is a bone chi, why do you come back with his tail? Wing. I don't know how to do it. You can learn from Liu Alan, but you don't want your husband when you are old. I will see how miserable you will live in the future. After that, he fell away. It is estimated that Zhang De ran to sue his son. That night, I heard my son-in-law called in the living room. It's not Aunt Yuan, what did you say to my mother? Now he is going to divorce. Auntie, your relationship is good, you care about you, don't you bring my mother. Why do you still sell this thing? Do you all say that you do'n't say that the temple doesn't destroy a marriage? The son opened his mobile phone, and his daughter-in-law listened together. Who knows that Li Yuelan's thief is big, and I can hear it across the door. Child, do you have to eat milk or what? You are in his 30s, and you have to be with your mother. Is it true that you are for you? Is my mother suffering hard these years? What happened to the divorce? We follow the requirements of the marriage law and divorce in accordance with the legal procedures. What about my dad? Your question is good. When your dad did that kind of thing that year, why didn't you think of what to do now? I laughed. Yulan's argument with the family because of divorce, the fighting power was increasing day by day. My son really encountered the muzzle. Before I said a few words, he was sent away. When I walked out, I saw my son's deadly face. What friends are you all made? I sneered. What friend? Your fever in high school almost caused severe pneumonia. I was on a business trip in the field at that time. Your dad was mixed outside. It was you who sent you to the hospital in the middle of the night and stayed with you all night. What kind of friend do you ask me? Touching your conscience, saying that it is the kind of saving your life. I'm not. I just hope you are all good. You said that this accompanying for decades is not easy. He whispered his head. I patted his shoulder. Mom hasn't lived for myself in my life. I couldn't do a lot of things I wanted to do before. Now, I just want to do one thing, that is to divorce your dad. I turned and returned home. Yulan had sent me a message. What's the situation? Are you going to leave too? I think about it. Why are you right? Hi, he sighed, but this road is not easy to go, all in the name of good you to persuade me. I deal with them every day, dry mouth and get angry. Give me some honeysuckle, drink some in advance, this is a long-lasting battle, and talk at any time. Good. Who knew that after a few days, it was Li Yuan? I suddenly received the information of Yuan, old Zhao and my son called all relatives to come to my house, 100,000 anxiety, come here. I rushed to her house, and saw the door open, and the old and young children occupied a bunch of people. Brother, big brother first, you are getting a divorce when you are old, it is really ignorant. You two are noisy to divorce every day, neighbors of the neighborhood watching jokes, asking my old face to be really unable to hang. I bumped into my life, and I didn't want to divorce. Several people next to each other also said, yeah, a husband and wife, what can be said? We are half intercepted into the soil. Considering children. Xiao Chen has just been promoted in the unit. What do people think of? Yeah, Xuanzi, you have always been a model for our juniors. You used to be good to grandma and good to the second uncle. We juniors also looked at it. Good daughter-in-law will be really divorced in the future, how do you be a man? Yulan looked at them coldly. You said and said, slowly peeled a peanut and threw it in his mouth. It's over? Then let me say a few words. First, I think of a divorce, that is my freedom. You feel inappropriate. You have the ability to cut the law so that people over 50 years old cannot divorce. Second, Zhao Xiaochun, a person who is almost 30, I have raised him, and I found it. My daughter-in-law also married, and I fulfilled the responsibility of raising. It was his own ability to mix well. If the reputation can affect his work, it is not that he can do it yourself, don't depend on me. Third, I used to be a good daughter-in-law. I sold it to you? It's not a younger sister, you say a little too much, everyone is good at heart. Of course I understand, since it is a meeting, I have a good heart together, and I have a few words of kindness to tell you. She turned to Deseo, remember that your elder brother and their company were cleaning and playing with you to play. He also gave cleaning to cleanliness. I bought a bag, you still have plastic bags at work at that time? That's it. Old Zhao Li immediately followed Qin Ji to scold the badge, who turned out every day as you. Then do you know that after the elder brother married you, in fact, there are only half the salary given to you for more than 10 years, and the other half secretly gives your mother-in-law? Deseo's face suddenly changed. Zhao Xinheng, this is true? Why did he suddenly become me? Brother stunned, oh, go home, say. At this moment, in front of the family, the face of the family, the grandmother was angry. What can't you say in your family? Oh, the second sister-in-law, what do you think of? They are all a family. The third daughter-in-law came forward and wanted to persuade. You don't know yet. When you got married, the refrigerator was already ready. Why did you say that the 2 bicycles were given to you at the end? The face was stiff. Is this true? She turned around and asked the third child. The old 3 turned his head, guilty conscience. How can your family treat me like this? I marry and you are originally marrying. My parents did not agree. Your dad said that he had no money, so I did not want a refrigerator TV. What are you compared? The third child suddenly pointed to Deseo. At that time, the sister-in-law moved away. She said that she would die if she didn't give her, and you said that I couldn't stop it. You are scrapped. The third daughter-in-law stomped his feet. Deseo and the third 3 live here, and everything at home is a big sister. Why do you want to go back to your mother's house? Do you want to be shameless? Boss can't get up. You also can't get up. There are 2 sisters, what do you think of this? Why are you still getting angry? It is your parents looking at them. Xiaomei, Zhao Tian said you are his first love? Do you know, he actually has a 88-year-old girlfriend, and he has come to the house. Our family has a lot of money. Your mother tells me more than once. It's not good, he also hopes that you will leave him to find him back. Xiamira's hand paused. Did you know your own problem? She turned his head and gave Zhao Tian a big mouth. Did you go to Guangzhou last time to meet her? Still lied to me, a business trip. No, you listen to me. Sister, I still think I'm not good at anywhere? I still don't look at you. Your son is a mother, a giant baby. I want to leave with him if you want to divorce. What about your son? Deseo was angry, scold. The situation suddenly became chaotic. At this time, Yulan's eyes turned to the door leisurely, and the stood stunned. The 2 sons were 2 sons. The 2 only got married last month. I went to the wedding. The younger 3 sons, the second aunt, don't watch it, Xiaoman and I are not here to persuade you not to divorce. The 2 of us came together with our parents. She immediately held the ears of the oldest son, Zhao Wei, what are your minds? What are you afraid of the second sister? Do you have something to hide from me? I don't, what are you afraid of? I can see it, your Zhao family has nothing good. How can I marry you as the tiger and wolf nest? Then, she ran away, and the third son quickly chased out. As a result, he fell at the door. Malaysia party. And this end, Deseo's hair was torn off by the third family, howling there, the young daughter-in-law's face was scratched by the scarf, Lon was in pulling the frame, persuading, and some punching in the chaos. Finally, when several people were tired, they stopped slowly. I shouldn't care about you. The boss bumped into the door and said back, you 2 love it. But I tell you that the old lady has lived in my house for a year. This year after serving, you have to govern me if you leave. Mother-in-law Yulan is paralyzed on the bed, and I have agreed to take a year before, so you have to say to your second brother. Yulan hummed the seeds of melon, divorced, I am not your family. As a result, the old Zhao and his son were pulled out by the boss and the third child again, saying that he had to talk about the old lady. The room finally quietly. Compared with those people's wolf, Yulan is like a fairy daughter who watches the drama. When she bounces her legs, she drinks the little tea. There is a kind of momentum that you make me unhappy, let's do their best. I walked over and laughed, you can't go to me? She smiled, it wasn't for you to help you quarreled, let you see your brilliant posture of Sister Lon. I gave my thumbs up, Sister Lon really kills crazy. She hummed coldly, the old lady has worked hard for so many years, and the white-eyed wolf thought she could really control me? Didn't they just want to serve the old lady? I understand, you can't tell them, people are beyond the world's invincible, and it is not a good deal to burn. She drank tea, I am Jade. I laughed, it's been so happy for a long time. How about the situation there? She handed me a melon seed, it's not ideal. In the past few days, her son-in-law took turns, and Lao Zhang also seemed to find that I came true. The attitude was a bit softened, recognize each other wrong, even if this is the past. As a result, I was hit by a mop. I told you that you will regret it when you leave me. He shouted when he hugged his head and ran away, "Who dares to be like you? Don't I kill you in the past?" Yulan stunned the seeds, "I'm terrible now." Yeah, just rushing to the posture just now. No, I shook my head, solved my own thing, and lived for most of my life. I want to be free once. He stretched his waist. After sitting for a long time, he was tired of his waist. Let's go to the square dance. We too went to the park and went to the park. Today, the teacher taught a double dance and distributed the dance partner with Yulan. After a while, Yulan suddenly pulled me aside. "Well?" I whispered. "That stinky old man is cheap." She booed, "I can't recognize it. Do you see the small garden over there? Is your old Zhang and that little nurse?" "Let me see. Oh, isn't it?" I know this Zhu Xiaoko into Ash. The two were sitting on a bench, and Zhu Xiaof also wore a blue cheongsam, with his hair, and whispered to console something. Yulan's sleeves have already been stretched. This corrected version addresses typos, grammatical errors, and punctuation issues, resulting in a more readable and coherent narrative. I have also made some minor adjustments to phrasing for clarity and flow. He also bowed his head and tied his pants. "Qin Meishuek just wants you today." He patted his chest and said, "Sister, today's life will work with you, how about it?" "Can't get on?" Zhang Deyue screamed first, attracting everyone's attention. "Oh. Before you divorce, come to the park to play?" The two suddenly stunned. Zhu Xiaoko's hand was still on Lao Zhang's collar. Just now, he was gently sorting out his collar. The eyes around them were concentrated on us at once. It was also funny. Lao Zhang saw that my first reaction was that his face changed, and Zhu Xiaoko's hand turned around and ran away. It turned out that he also knew the shame of etiquette. As a result, I rushed over and slapped him. "Oh, how did you fight?" Yulan pretended to persuade, but his voice was incredible. "Even if Lao Zhang is private outside, even if they are not clear, you can't do it." Having said that, he was helping me, pressing Zhu Xiaoko. "Damn, this park is late today. Ant's war is derailed husband and primary 3. What are the primary 3 and 3? These two people are really hungry." The crowds were gone, and Zhu Xiaoko's face was already white and red. He screamed with anger, "I'm not a junior." As a result, only the eyes of everyone were even more contempt. Lao Zhang had no responsibility, and just covered his head and yelled. And when I thought of the past 10 years, the things that Lao Zhang did, it was still out of his face, and he almost fanned his life. But a few times, his face was swollen. "Hit well." I don't know who called it, everyone followed. "Auntie is mighty. Deserves it." In the end, because there were too many onlookers, the 4 of us were taken to the police station. After a while, the son-in-law hurried. "It's not parents, how old are you, why are you fighting in public?" The son stared at his eyes, unbelievable. He finally saw the life-saving straw, and he kneeled down with a pig-like face like a pig's head. You. Don't vomit." The son was angry. "Where are you going? People in the small garden come and go, you can't see it? Don't see it? Don't see it? Don't see it? Don't see it? Say your dad, Zhu Shaochen, is born lightly. This is not a good mood recently, so he came to chat with me. We are bright and big, so we dare to play in the small garden. What about him?" "Okay. Anta," my son said angrily, "our family is chaotic enough, don't add chaos here. Do you go away from my dad, okay? Think of standing up, but can't stand up. Yulan, why didn't you persuade? Even my mother." The son stroked his forehead and persuaded Yulan. His eyes widened, holding a paper fan wind. "I tried to pull the frame, Mom, this gave me an urgent sweat." He really worked hard. During the lifting process, he not only stabbed Lao Zhang, but also I accidentally hit Zhu Xiaoko several times. How dare I dare to pull this way? Sure enough, Zhu Xiaoko immediately accused, "Comrade police, look at my injury." A young police officer came over and asked me, "Son, are you family, right?" "Yes." The son nodded immediately. "Comrade of police officers, the old lady and old lady are in trouble. The internal contradictions of this family will solve it by ourselves, and will not bother you. Now, your mother accuses your dad out of marriage. Your dad accuses your mother for him personal injury, grab him, close it. What are you open? Bow." As soon as this remark, everyone was stunned. Old Zhang Lima burst into tears. "I am happy. Okay, let you, I will get the certificate after you leave you." Misunderstanding. The son hurriedly said, "This is the 2 quarrels. Why do you say that this is still here?" I will take them away. Finally, under the persistence of our son, we all came out of the police station. Zhu Xiaoqie touched Lao Zhang's face distressed and said, "Let Lao Zhang go to him to take medicine." His son was also tired, and waved his hand directly, casually. Yulan also returned. My son-in-law returned home with me. Hey, as soon as he returned, he was paralyzed in a chair and sighed. Unlike his decadent look, I feel that I am full of energy after this battle. I just understand it, you really get out. He rubbed his hair, I think you have no possibility of reunion. I nodded. Son, just know this. I can't find my wife again. I really laughed. What? I didn't care about your early love when I was young, I was old, but you can't find the old man? What do you say, old and unsatisfactory, for the elderly, you are willing to let others say so. I'm 30, and because of my mother's style, I said everywhere, hi, my temper is here. Do you give me a good talk? What kind of style does your mother have? It's your old man who is old. I don't mean that, I just mean that you are a woman after all. Is this age and can't stand loneliness? Looking for the second spring? Look at love, look. Actually, you really want to talk about it, you can't get a certificate. Why? You see, him began to know the reason. You and my dad have accumulated these 3 houses in most of your life. Now this person is too bad. Just look for those divorced old ladies and old ladies. You don't know how dangerous this elderly marriage market is. I don't know if you know? I asked him, have you ever been in the market for the elderly? Do you not lift the bar? Those old men are all talked about, they are all coaxing. How can there be a sincerity? Oh, others have no sincerity, you too have sincerity, right? He was afraid that I would give the house and money to others? He stunned and looked at his daughter-in-law, and didn't speak all at once. This property problem is really troublesome. That day, Yulan and I went to the foot treatment together. He ate the hot and sour powder of the foot therapy shop, and said with emotion, I thought I had paid for most of my life. Do you know that the marriage is unhappy and happy? What do they care about? I'm afraid that your money is over, Yulan. I have carefully pondered this problem for several days. I sighed. You said, what is the most precious and important thing for us now? Yulan was silent. It's time. He said, we have already consumed most of their lives. There are fewer days than a day, and for ordering money, it is not worth the death. I nodded and agreed. I think about it, why should I break the money with them and waste my precious life? I divorced early and hugged a new life. He came over, and I said, take it. Take it, and give up properly, turn the enemy into friends, and strive for reinforcements. Okay, you are talking about it now. A breath. No, I am proud. I have said it on the internet, 5 or 6 years old, but that year. I said that my daughter-in-law stared at me with wide eyes. What are you talking about? Do you want to give us a house notice? I nodded. I have 2 houses under your dad's name, and a set of households have been transferred to you. I want to give you 2 left sets of household notice before the divorce. The remaining 20% will be given to you. Anyway, I have retirement salary, insurance, and rent. In fact, I don't need so much money. Live. This is a way. The son immediately agreed. The older the dad is getting older, the more confused, in case Zhu Xiaoqie really enters the door, and then send it out. So negotiated, my son and daughter-in-law became my spokesperson. Lao Zhang quickly agreed because he really wanted to marry Zhu Xiaokou. Before, the son and daughter-in-law did not agree, but now it is easy to relax, and this condition is accepted. Yulan is also quite smooth. Mainly he is fighting every day, like a burning bare flame, who can be burned when he approaches, and no one dares to persuade him not to divorce. A month later, Yulan and I received a divorce certificate on the same day. When the 2 of us took the certificate, Lao Zhang and Lao Zhao snorted at the same time. Okay, my brother, let's be free. The days when no one cares, you can be free in the future. The 2 of them sang the yin and yang. Yulan looked back at them and scolded a country. Passing by a young man, he immediately gave a thumbs up. Hey, still have to have our Chinese aunt, this is full of energy. After the divorce, I rented an individual villa with Yulan. I planted flowers in the front yard and planted vegetables in the front yard. We have never done housework, and they are looking for a housekeeping aunt to clean up. When you are happy, get kitchen. When you are tired, you will learn to call takeaway with young people. That night, the 2 of us were wrapped in a blanket and drank red wine to watch movies. Yulan saw Audrey Hepburn in Roman Holidays, and suddenly his eyes were red. I asked him what happened, and he covered his tissue with a paper towel. I suddenly thought, people said that when we were old, we were a vixen, but who was not forced to be a vixen by life? He was not a water spirit at that time. What about Ling's little girl? He said. I was a bit uncomfortable. I hugged him. We are also a little girl now. He laughed. How can there be so many little girls? You see the little girls in the online video now actively make up. What lying silkworm? We don't need to draw, there are pure naturalness. What are you lying ones? He smiled and laughed. Are you a bag? After another 3 months, my son suddenly came to me and said that it was Lao Zhang hospitalized. Mom hummed in the middle of the night and called you the name. Go, but the son said that Lao Zhao was also hospitalized again. Walk away and see the lively. I went to the hospital with Yulan. He went to the 2nd floor of the burns. Lao Zhang really did not hurt lightly, and crushed fractures in many places. As soon as I saw me, I suddenly burst into tears. Oh, this is so serious? It's not that Aunt Ju and his dad quarreled every day. He was quarreled that day. What are you making trouble? I am curious, isn't this all married? Lao Zhang stretched out his hand. My bones hurt every day, and I want to eat the beef buns you made. I rejected his hand that he extended. Lao Zhang. I stood up and leaned down. I have recently read a lot of young people's novels. Now there is a word that is fun, very unlucky, called chasing the cremation field. Lao Zhang, you can leisurely click, don't put yourself into the crematorium. After coming out of the ward, I wanted to contact Yulan, only to find that the phone fell inside. When I returned, I suddenly heard the noise from a few people in the door. Don't want it when you were young. I have a bad old man now, and I have not disliked him. How can your family do this to me? Note, my dad's the sweet. You two have gone to us before getting married. Give them the house directly. What else is your dad left? The retirement salary is still there. You buy this for your grandson there. He can't take it out when I buy a piece of clothes. I still give birth to this person. My daughter-in-law said carefully. Can you let go for so many years? Is it him? It's noisy now, just be a couple. Your dad, he promised to add a name to me. You are cheating to marry. Don't you all know when you were young? My son laughed. Why are you old and old? Now it's a husband and wife, just live a good life, make people laugh every day. I was listening. Yulan came suddenly. Lao Zhao like? I asked. Oh, don't mention it. He waved his hand. No one is serving now. He cooks by himself and puts the kitchen on fire. His face is burning all his face. After returning from the hospital, Yulan and I continued our leisurely life. I later learned that Lao Zhang promised to notarize the real estate in order to divorce me. In order to marry Zhu Xiaoko, he directly transferred the house to his son, and also gave the retirement salary card to his son. Love is miserable. Yulan said. It's not he intentionally, I said. The old man just wanted a free nanny. He was not really stupid. He could divide who his relatives, of course, the money was left to his son-grandson. Zhu Xiaof is also very miserable, I lamented. The son hired a nanny for his grandson, and his daughter-in-law had time to love to run with me. He often gossiped Zhu Xiaof and Lao Zhang. He is married to his dad, and we are thinking that he has not been a nurse? What kind of house is good for us to stay with one hand long ago? I sighed with melon seeds and went to the hospital. There was an old nurse who knew Zhu Yi, and as a result, the old man was spreading the old man as a third party. Stop. Speaking of him at a glance, Auntie, take leave today. I have to go to the career to pick up Xiaobao, and talk to you next week. Mom, I laughed. I am not there when I start next week. Don't run away, what should you do? Go to the Antarctic cruise with Yulan, Mom. He laughed. Sometimes I really envious of your life. After another week, Yulan and I sat on the cruise ship to the Antarctic. This cruise ship to the Antarctic is not the same, it's really stable. Yulan looked here, can we see penguins? I smiled. Yulan has no snow, I can still see the snow, and I can still see the moon. She also laughed. Yulan has no snow, should we set up a combination? What a good name. Yeah, Yulan has no snow, the days are still snowing, and there are many fun things waiting for us. What a wonderful future. Full text.